Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast. We cover everything Major League, from spring training to the World Series. We've got your favorite club covered, from New York to Boston to LA. This is the Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast.
Thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Baseball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Evan Worley. I am back. Happy Friday, everybody. I hope you guys had a great week. I am currently recording this episode from a hotel in the middle of nowhere, Kansas. I am halfway through the move to Dallas. Next time you will be hearing this, I will be set up down there, ready to go. I don't know where in Kansas I really am. I think it's like Emporium and I don't know. All I know is there's a major thunderstorm going on outside, so I hope you guys don't have to hear that in the background. But yeah, all I can really say is about this place is like Walmarts in the South are absolutely ridiculous. Like I just spent the last 30 minutes lost in a Walmart trying to find a bottle of water and some cough drops. Like it's absolutely absurd. Like I've never seen like a Walmart that has a hair salon. Like it had a whole salon and barbershop inside of the stores. Like why are you going to Walmart to get your hair cut? Like you just sound so goofy if you're like, oh, I got to get a haircut, I'm off to Walmart. Like what is the whole point of that? It's too big. We need to stop giving Walmart so much power. Like South Park made an episode about this, like 15 years ago? Like, we need to actually pay attention, because this is getting absolutely ridiculous. They had a place where you can get your car fixed. Like, Walmarts are slowly turning into Costco, except they don't have any of the good deals. Like, Costco's famous for being able to buy in bulk, but Walmart just isn't, and it's just as big and offers just as much crap. I don't know. If you need your haircut, don't go to Walmart. I'm not saying your hair is bad or anything like that, or they do a bad job, but I mean, go to your local barbershop. They need your business a lot more. Anyways, so I have a bone to pick with Major League Baseball. So, I just want to let you guys know I am recording this on Wednesday night. I'm currently watching the Dodgers in Houston play right now. It is currently 1-1 in the top of the sixth, so I may be giving you commentary from the past. Anyways, I just got word that Joe Kelly got suspended for taunting after throwing at Carlos Correa the other day. And here is the major problem with this. Every single sport has taunting. Every single sport you can think of has taunting. And if it takes place, it's a very, very minor penalty. You know, in the NBA, you get a technical free throw. In the NFL, it's 15 yards. Now, is that an absolute drive? Like, is that a drive killer? Sometimes, yeah, but, not really. Not always. Could you imagine if every single time that there was a taunting call in the NBA or in the NFL, someone got suspended for a week? The NFL, that would be a little different. Imagine a 5-game suspension in the NFL for taunting. Like, if in the NBA, if they suspended every player who flexed and screamed after they dunked, there's like 5,000 screams in games. Whether it's just a primal yell or screaming at one another after, absorbing contact and getting an and one. Like, at max, you get a technical. That's it. That's it. You don't get suspended for that. There would be no players. if that were to take place. And like, my God, Manfred, what are you thinking? I don't know who. I'm blaming Manfred. I don't even care because I don't know who actually takes care of the suspensions. But whoever takes care of the suspensions, what are you doing? Look, I get that he threw the ball at Bregman and yawned immediately after as a way to just completely taunt the entire system. Like, look, I get it. He taunted the players. He taunted the system. But a whole week in a 60-game season, this is the one time you will ever hear me stick up for the pitcher. Joe Kelly did not deserve any of this. This is ridiculous. Like, you can't take... You can't suspend somebody for showing some flair and actual emotion during the game. Like, taking away the emotion out of the game, like, you can't do that because this generation loves flamboyancy. We love the taunts. We love the hard-nosed type of game. We miss it. We want it back, but, everyone, the older generation's like, oh, you're setting a bad example for the kids. No, this is just what the game is. Like, our generation has to work harder than ever before because everybody wants to get to that spot. So you have to work way harder and do so much more to get your body right. I mean, there's kids coming up right now that are playing baseball 300 days a year since they were 10 years old just to hope to be able to crack the bigs 14, 15 years later. So like we love it. We love the flair, the emotion, and the anger that creates rivalries. It creates animosity. It's like it creates literally everything that we love about sports. Rivalries and hatred build stories, and stories are why we watch sports. Let's go to the NBA, back to the NBA for an example. Casual NBA fans, LeBron fans, and the people who hated LeBron watched the finals every single year he was in it of the past decade because they wanted to know how the story of his career would play out. If the story of his career ended in 7 championships, you can't argue that he's one of the best. You can't argue what he's done, but it hasn't. The people who are saying, I've watched LeBron, he's not the best. He's not the best player that's ever done it. Why? Oh, the legacy of the NBA Finals, like his record in the NBA Finals, whatever, what have you. It's just the barbershop conversation. You got to see how the story of his career plays out. I mean, every time the Yankees play the Red Sox or the Dodgers play the Giants, they go back every time to the black and white days with Willie Mays and Jackie Robinson, the Roger Maris eras and the, Roger Maris, Yogi Berra's, Babe Ruth, Ted Williams, all these guys. And, it goes through their entire history, bringing you the storyline of anything can actually happen, so you want to tune in. There's history here. There's greatness here. This is where these teams go to play all the time. Imagine what the Yankees and Red Sox rivalry would look like without A-Rod fighting Varitek, without Pedro throwing Zimmer on the ground, without all the benches clearing situations between the two. It just seems boring. It just seems boring. And mind you, I was watching the game, the Reds and the Cubs last night, and Amir Garrett played. And as Amir Garrett's pitching, they flash back to when he fought the entire Pittsburgh Pirates team by himself. So they're advertising the, Amir Garrett pitching after, and, the major fight that he had the year before that started a benches clearing brawl. And they're celebrating it now, but he was suspended before. I don't know how many times, the NBA has really advertised, the malice in the palace. When big fights happen, how many times have we seen, Brandon Ingram throwing hands with Chris Paul and the Rajon Rondo spitting on Chris Paul? I'm telling you, the NBA doesn't show that, but the MLB suspends these guys more than the NBA does or other sports do for fighting, but then they also replay it more, showing like, oh, this is just a part of our game. Really, is it? Is it a part of the game? Because apparently showing emotions and emotions boiling over to the point where they come out on the field and they cause some actual emotion and animosity between the two teams, potentially starting something good like a rivalry, everybody gets suspended and shut down immediately to the point where they don't get paid, and they're like, okay, well, I'm not going to do this again. What do you want? What do you want, MLB? This isn't college sports where you play once or twice in football or twice or three times in basketball for the ultimate bragging rights for a whole 365 days. In a normal NBA season, there are around, 20 meetings between division rivals, and, not everybody is chomping at the bit to get out there and, go for the jugular like they would if they were only playing as little as colleges. If you're telling me that, the Yankees fans and the Red Sox fans, you have 3 games all season, and whoever takes that series gets bragging rights for the rest of the year, 365 days. Are you telling me that the Yankees would not come out firing as well as the Red Sox would? That would be such an intense season for bragging rights, and everybody would go way harder. But since the MLB season is so stretched out, and it's like, oh well, we lost this one, but we can get it next time. No, it's not like that. And I know that colleges, everything's shortened, so you only have a certain amount of time to actually be able to, partake, actually play in the rivalry, actually be able to experience it. I get it. But, your professional career could end at any moment, as we've all seen. One injury can come and, you get the yips and, you're out of the league. So it's like, I don't know, man. I don't like it. So Joe Kelly doing I like it because Joe Kelly doing what he did just lights up the baseball world, and everybody's going to be more excited to watch Astros games because, they didn't really hop on the pity party when the news broke about, what they did and the suspensions and, lack thereof, and, all the punishment that they were supposed to get. They took a stance like a wounded cobra and was just snapping at anybody who took a stance, or who even mentioned them in a comment. So you can't be out there saying oh, hey, anything negative happening to them is an automatic suspension when you didn't even suspend anyone who actually cheated the AL out of 2 World Series appearances, 1 actual title. Altuve cheated Aaron Judge out of an MVP, and, we don't, we can't predict the future. We can't think that Aaron Judge is just going to come out and take more MVPs. Because, he hasn't proven that he could stay healthy past that 2020-17 season. So the past 2 years have been very injury prone. And, that could really have been his only chance if you think about it. But one thing that is also cheated was the ultimate rekindling of a rivalry that to me seems to be dead. Every time I have this argument with my friends, they always say this rivalry is alive, but I lived in LA for 20 years and I really don't see it. I'm talking the Yankees and the Dodgers. Let's look at what could have been the 2017 World Series. Okay, let's just start with, the most epic battle of rookies making MVP cases with, Judge versus Bellinger. This is the year that Judge should have won the MVP. Breaking the rookie home run record, just setting the world on fire, completely revamping the Yankees. They didn't come out of the gates, pistols firing. They kind of slumped at the start of the year. But Aaron Judge took it on his back, and, they proved a lot of people wrong. They came within 1 game. 1 game of the World Series. And it's, then you also have, you have Cody Bellinger. Cody Bellinger broke the NL rookie home run record. He won Rookie of the Year, I think it was unanimously, if I'm not mistaken. And so, you have that brewing right there. That is the rekindling of a rivalry, if I've ever seen one. It is Judge versus Bellinger. They're rookies going into the World Series. And who knows when, how many times they could face themselves in the World Series again. You know what I'm saying? It's we can't see the future, so you got to make these stories while you can, and it makes things more exciting. It's man, when's Judge facing Bellinger? How do we get Judge to face Bellinger? Are these guys going to meet in the in the World Series again? Are they going to do it? Is it going to be Yankees-Dodgers for the foreseeable future? We got to keep tuning in to watch these games, and therefore you build a bigger fan base. And, let's break down the pitching matchups. Like, these are the two starting rotations that would have gone against each other. You got Kershaw, Walker Buehler, Alex Wood, Rich Hill, and Yu Darvish versus, Sevy, Tanaka, CeCe Pineda, and Sonny Gray. Those are two epic starting rotations that would have gone up against each other in the World Series. Granted, the Astros had a pretty good starting rotation in the World Series, and the Dodgers seemed to handle them. So you can only imagine that the Dodgers, would have done their thing against the Yankees. But, we never know. Now we get to play this game of why we hate the Astros, because who knows? We could have had a better World Series. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, let's go to the lineups now. You got Gary Sanchez, Greg Bird, Gleyber Didi, Todd Frazier, Brett Gardner, Aaron Hicks, Aaron Judge, Matt Holliday, versus Yasmani Grandal, Bellinger, Logan Forsythe, Corey Seager, Justin Turner, Chris Taylor, Jock Peterson, and Yasiel Puig. Not including Agon, Kike, Utley, Granderson. People don't remember that Curtis Granderson was on the Dodgers that year, and Andre Ethier coming off the bench. I know we said we could have got a better World Series, but, we did get an incredible World Series. But it's going to be forever tainted because in the back of our minds, we could have had a potentially, I use air quotes right now, clean World Series, even though we're all aware the Yanks did that also, but their side of the story is a little bit different. Like, we've all been there, done that before. So, moral of the story, Joe Kelly going after the Astros is a part of the unwritten rules of the baseball that they cherish so clearly. They're dearly, cherishes so dearly. It's baseball. If the commissioner is too lazy and incompetent to actually dish out a punishment that doesn't devalue the ultimate goal of everyone who's ever played baseball in their lives, then the players will do it themselves. Abide by the rules and let pitchers dose the cheaters, or suspend them. But that also, if you suspend them, that also means you have to quit crying about the bat flips ruining the integrity of the game. So what is it? Are you going to suspend the pitchers when they hit them and quit crying about the bat flips? Or are you going to let the pitchers run rampant, dose all the hitters that, have been caught when the cheating scandal, get their retaliation, and just turn a blind eye to it? That's something that we gotta look at. All right, really, that's something that it's been kind of eating at me on the drive over here. Actually, I just don't get it. It makes no sense. Okay, rant over. Time to take a quick break, and I will be right back with the suspected reason. I'm gonna put alleged reason why the Marlins have so many positive tests while the other teams are having little to no positives. Okay, I will take a quick break, and I will be right back.
This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
All right, everybody, so we are back. So we just jumped right into the recap of the Joe Kelly suspension. I mean, I guess that's a recap. That was more of just a rant on what's wrong with baseball at this point. On to the next story that is, starting to infuriate the baseball world. I'm going to use allegedly for all of this. This is all alleged. Nothing has been confirmed yet about this. It's just this is the news that broke via Fox News and USA Today. So basically, that's starting to come out that the Miami Marlins may have had a player go out and party right before the season started, which is causing all the coronavirus positive testings. So, USA Today's Bob Nightingale told Radio.com that, some guys, plural, may have gotten careless, and that, at least one guy did for sure. So, as we all know, the Miami Marlins had 4 players test positive for the virus on Sunday before their game against the Philadelphia Phillies. And if you remember correctly, Don Mattingly said that he never even thought about not playing the game on Sunday, even with the 4 positive tests. And, that's just beyond irresponsible. Like, I don't know. I don't even know how to even, stomach that. That's so irresponsible. When, everything that's been going on with the coronavirus, it's like, we know it doesn't discriminate against anyone, and we've, especially, everybody's gone over what Freddie Freeman said, and, what Freddie Freeman went through. So to just look at that as like, oh yeah, we have 4 tests, no biggie, let's go out and play anyways. That's so irresponsible, Mattingly, my goodness. But, also, the theory is that this happened during the series in Atlanta that was, on Tuesday. And, if that's the case, it took about 5 days to get the results on the 4 positive tests. And, they just happened to just brush it off. Health and safety protocols were designated with challenging circumstances, the one facing the Marlins. The response, outlined, a joint MLB/MLBPA operations manual, and, was triggered immediately upon learning the cluster of virus cases, including, contact, tracing and quarantining and testing all of the identified close contacts. The Marlins personnel tested positive and stuff like that. That was just that was me recapping a statement from the MLB. The MLB was one of the first leagues to, think about going into a bubble. They were thinking about the bubble before, the NBA and the NHL were. And, with the NHL and the NBA, their bubbles are working. I feel like, in the if you would have started a bubble in the cactus and grapefruit leagues, maybe, it might have actually worked. Because, it's like every other bubble. It would have been in a controlled environment with no fans, so I don't know why you need the giant ballparks. I feel like the spring training facilities would have worked just fine, but, hey, I've never worked in a stadium before, or the spring training stadium. I've been to a couple. They're a lot of fun. I love spring training. I love the Cactus League. Oh, my God, it was so much fun. I can't wait to go back. But, yeah, the games are fine. The fields are so nice in the spring training facilities. I don't know why they just didn't, do it there and try to avoid all of this. You could say it was because, in the Grapefruit League, Florida's a virus hotspot, but the NBA is there, so, and they don't have any positive tests yet. So, you could have done something to control all of this. More reports, in over 6,400 tests conducted since Friday, July 24th, there have been no new positives of on-field personnel of any other of the 29 clubs. This outcome is in line with encouraging overall data. Since June 27th was the start of testing, through July 23rd, 99 of the 32,640 samples have been positive. That is 0.3%. So, there has been word, I know CC Sabathia went on Bill Simmons' podcast, and he said that, he was skeptical about the season going on. He said if the over-under was 9 days, he said it would be way under before the season got canceled. I don't think the season's actually going to get canceled because one team one team happened to struggle. So the NBA or the MLB has, really put in a really good effort to combat all of this, to minimize disruption with the season. They can contain the outbreak. They revised the schedule to isolate the Marlins and the Phillies, and they announced that both clubs are currently undergoing additional testing following their series at Citizens Bank this weekend. They completely are just saying, hey, like you guys got to stay in. Baltimore and the Yankees, you got to get more testing because those are the two teams that played them on the opening season. And they're just redoing the schedule for them and trying to avoid all of this. So I think that's a good thing that what the MLB is doing. Miami season, they've been halted until August 3rd. Giving the club time to regroup and adjust their rosters as necessary. The Marlins' next scheduled game is to play, Tuesday, August 4th, but, and that's against the Phillies. It could be possible that they add a game before that day, but, right now they're planning on Tuesday, August 4th. That's according to John Heyman, at least. The Phillies have been shut down until Saturday. They've already postponed, Friday's start against Toronto. Philadelphia, instead they'll play a doubleheader on Saturday and, one game Sunday as designated, as the road team in their home ballpark because, the Blue Jays field in Buffalo is not ready for them yet. So that'll be a little weird that they have, a doubleheader and a game on Sunday as a road team in their own park. So, that's something to watch out for because that's going to be a little interesting and kind of goofy looking. The revised schedule has the Yankees playing the Orioles Wednesday, Thursday, rather than just, sit idly by waiting for them, just missing games and having to cause unnecessary doubleheaders later in the season. They both had home and homes this week, 2 in Philly, the Yankees had 2 in Philly and 2 in New York, and, Miami had 2 in Miami and 2 in Baltimore. So they were like, well, let's just give the Yankees more games against Baltimore, which I'm sure the Yankees are loving because as of right now, when I looked up, the Yankees were killing the Orioles. So that's just, they have to play a less competitive team. So, that just gives the Yankees a little bit more room to breathe until, September 2nd. The Marlins were scheduled to play a 3-game series against the Nationals this weekend, but a vast majority of the Nationals players, they said they didn't want to travel to Miami, and, who can blame them? I can't. Under the revised schedule, the Nationals, they're going to sit out the weekend while the Marlins are quarantining. So the Nationals, they're getting an extra couple days rest, which they need because I will cover their struggles later in the show. So we'll go over that later. The MLB, they'll try to make up all the postponed games, later in the season, be it, double headers, eliminating off days. They're prepared to allow teams finish the season with unequal number of games played and determine the postseason field with winning percentage. And that is going to be chaotic. Good thing that they allowed over half the league to make the postseason, because if they had a normal postseason schedule and, they had to, they pulled a BCS, because that's pretty much what it is, like comparing it to high school or to college sports, college football, they're just doing BCS, like how many BCS points are going to be keeping, let's go with the Cincinnati Reds and, the Arizona Diamondbacks. Like, what percentage of a BCS point is going to be kicking those guys out of the playoffs? It's so, I can't even believe that this is what life is. This is what the game is now. If you would have ever told me that, the worst era of, college football deciding national champions, at least in my lifetime, is going to be, deciding who makes the postseason and who doesn't in the MLB during a 60-game year when people aren't even playing the same amount of games. What? What? That's absolutely ridiculous. Derek Jeter, he also announced, per the article, said, the Marlins are going to start daily testing in an attempt to change their fortunes. Derek Jeter has not done a single thing wrong. I was saying this when he traded Giancarlo Stanton to the Yankees for a bunch of prospects. and, made all the trades and completely redid the Miami roster. He has not done a single thing wrong. Everything he has done so far has been right. All trust in Derek Jeter. If you are a Marlins fan, do not lose hope. Derek Jeter is the future, and he's making all the right decisions. Just follow him. Just follow him. So and here's some good news. Rob Manfred said that on Monday the owners have not seriously discussed canceling the season. They've had little conversations, but no one's ever been like, we really need to take this seriously. They're all like, we can get past this. We can really do it. They have the, they have the secret stash of players that teams can go sign if someone were to drop down. The league believes it has mechanisms in place, like the 60-man rosters. They call it the taxi squad, I think it is. And more to manage, outbreaks and continue playing. And, the MLB is prepared to revise the schedules, apparently. So, if they're able to do that on the fly and successfully keep teams competitive and all that, I see that they can make it work. I don't think that we should lose any optimism about losing the season. Absolutely not. I think the season's going to go on fine with everything that goes on. It's not going to be like the ABA where, half the teams, fold during the middle of the season and they just got to do it on the fly. Like these guys, nobody's in dire needs. Nobody's going bankrupt in the MLB this year. So, everybody's going to finish the year. Granted, the teams may be a little different. There's going to be a ton of injuries because pitchers are still getting stretched out and only going like starters, or you're lucky to get 4 to 5 out of them. But, as long as baseball's still getting played, I will still be happy. I will still be optimistic, and that is something to look out for. The Marlins, you played with us a little bit, but, we're still here. We're not afraid of you. We're not afraid of you guys ending, pulling a Rudy Gobert and ending the season for us. I know that we're going to be just fine. So, that being said, keep an eye on our Twitter because we are retweeting all the news, so it's just a one-stop shop for all your baseball news. And we will be right back. I am going to go into the next part of the show I'm going to break down who's hot, who's not, players, teams, everything like that. So just stay tuned. I will be taking a quick break.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
All right, everybody, we are back. Thank you for staying this long. We are just about to dive into this what to watch for. But before we get there, let's go across who's hot and who's not across the league. So what we're going to be doing is I am going to be talking about who is starting off very hot on the season, players and teams, and then going to the who's not. Now, I understand that with such a small sample size, only, you can't really say players, some players are, ridiculously like cold or anything, especially pitchers. Like you can't really go into the pitchers because, most of them only have one start, some have 2 max. So that's not really fair to them. But some pitchers made the hot list because I am currently watching them, so they're into their second start, and they did well. So, starting it off, someone I thought, you didn't think when you thought Angels. David Fletcher of the Angels is insanely hot this year. He's slashing .556, .609, and .667 with 10 hits and 18 ABs. The slugging kind of shows that he's not doing a ton of damage with those hits, but with that slash line, it's like it's not your fault that he has only 3 RBIs and 2 runs. That's just that you got to blame that on the Angels' struggles. The Angels have had, they started off the season against my favorites to win the AL West, and so we'll really see how good they are, and their true test coming up in a little bit. They're starting off their series tonight against the Seattle Mariners, so we'll really see. We'll really see if they're ready to play or not. So, but David Fletcher is definitely someone you should keep an eye on. Obviously, we got to move on to Nelson Cruz. Nelson Cruz had a crazy start to the season. In 17 ABs, he has 7 runs, 5 extra base hits, including 3 homers. He got a couple doubles to add on top of that. 3 homers, 10 RBIs, leading the league in both, and is slashing .412, .444, and 1.059. That is next level hot. I mean, he pretty much torched the White Sox by himself. 2 of those, in both the wins, he was huge in those games, knocking in a ton of runs. I mean, he even had 7 RBIs on in the Sunday game to close out the series. Just amazing output from Nelson Cruz. Definitely keep an eye on the Twinkies moving forward. Next up, we have Justin Turner. Justin Turner's hot. He has half of his hits being doubles. Batting third in that loaded Dodger lineup. Has produced 1 RBI for every game that they've played. So that if you have somebody on base and Justin Turner's up, they're probably coming in. He's slashing at .421, .522, and .632. And, once again, is one of the lead dogs at the dish in Los Angeles. Like, there's something to be said about consistency. He's not the biggest power guy. He's not the biggest power threat. But, at the number 3 slot, you can have somebody that's ready for power. You can have somebody, who's, like, you could have Mookie there. Mookie's great, but, Mookie's gonna, he's going to drive the ball out of the ballpark. He needs the most ABs that he can. And, when he gets on base and really starts rallies, you want some consistency behind him to knock him in. And Justin Turner is that consistency. He is incredible. Having another great year. I'm sure you are already watching the Dodgers like everybody else is in the world. So, I mean, just keep on tuning in. You know how good he is. A sleeper that you guys may have not heard of. I think he tested positive for the coronavirus, but Miguel Rojas of the Miami Marlins is having an incredible start to the season. I looked on his baseball reference page, and I was stunned. I haven't watched the Marlins this year, but I did not think I would be seeing this out of someone who, I have barely even heard of. So he's slashing 700, 750, and 1,300, and is leading the league in runs created with 11 runs per baseball reference. So in the early season, the first series, I should say, in 3 games, he created a league-leading 11 runs. Now, that's baseball reference being baseball reference, so I don't really know exactly what that means. But I mean, if you're leading the league in creating runs, like, that's nothing to scoff at. You're the definition of hot. So, Miguel Rojas, get well soon, get back on the field, and I'll definitely be tuning into you from now on. Anthony Rizzo up next. Anthony Rizzo, he's only batting .250, but he is slugging .813 with 3 homers. So, he's only hit the ball he's only got 4 hits on the season. So, not that great, but, he's not making a ton of contact, but when he does, I mean, just sit back and watch it fly. Like, I mean, apparently that's all they need too, because with everybody else struggling on the Cubs, like, they're still the number 1 team in the Central as of right now. So, hey, go Anthony Rizzo. Next up, we got a couple pitchers on the list. So, like I said, it is Wednesday, so I am watching the Dodgers and Houston Astros. So I got to throw this guy into the mix, my fellow redhead, Derek May. Derek Mays had 2 great starts to open the season. He had one to fill in for Clayton Kershaw, against the Giants on short notice. That's nothing to scoff at. If anybody's ever played baseball when they're not, you have your routine when you pitch. And, if someone gets scratched and you got to go and you just got to go right back into that routine and just treat it like it was a normal game day without just thinking about getting psyched out and the superstitions, it's pretty rough. And Derek May, he handled that very well. And then he took the Astros for 4 solid innings and only gave up 1 run. That is, that's nothing to scoff at. He's had a hell of a start to the season. Moving on, we have Mike Soroka. Mike Soroka, I don't think he took the loss on opening day. I think he had about 5 solid innings against the Mets of no earned runs. And, he started off against the Rays today. He had a great game. He only gave up 1 run, if I'm not mistaken. 2 great outings against 2 of the best competitors that he's going to be looking at in the East, besides, the Yankees. So, Mike Soroka, he's looking like he's every bit of the ace that he was last season. I was thinking that he was going to have a sophomore slump this year, but it doesn't really look like that's going to be happening. So, hooray, Braves Nation. Good job, Mike Soroka. Now, moving on. Nick Castellanos has 8 RBIs through Wednesday, and, for the Reds, including a grand slam, I did not think he was going to get that grand slam. That was way too high, and he just torched that ball. Nick Castellanos, he is the big bat up there in Cincinnati. They have some of their guys, they got Senzel and Mike Moustakas out with the virus, so they've been kind of struggling recently. But, if Nick Castellanos can keep up the production that he's been doing, they could hold off some, competitors until they get Moose and Senzel back. Someone that I've been oohing and eyeing over for ever since I started recording episodes for this show, Luis Robert has been crushing the ball to start the season and showing us that all the hype is more than real. He's slashing 368, 400, 579 with a homer, and, he's been covering the entire outfield, apparently. I mean, he called off a ball in pretty much dead right field. It was, I was watching and I could not believe it at all. And his first major league hit was at, I think, 115 exit velo for, just a line drive single. Like, Luis Robert is seeing the ball and he is mashing the ball. So, it's really no surprise. I mean, I couldn't even pick him to not win Rookie of the Year when I said I was going to go out on a limb and not pick the favorites. Like, it's so clear that he's the best rookie in the game and he's going to be one of, I would say, top 10. I would even say top 5 players in the game. And, in a few years, he's ridiculous. I see a few MVPs in his future, not to put too much hype on him, but, I did. Whatever. I'm me. I can do that. So next up, we got Eric Hosmer. Eric Hosmer, he's batting 500 with a homer and 7 RBIs with a 583 on-base percentage and, with a 1,000 slugging. And, he looks like playoff Hosmer. Like, the NBA has, playoff Rondo who gets better. And, I always thought Eric Hosmer was like that. He never wowed me during the regular season, but when the postseason came around, it seemed like every time they needed a clutch hit, Eric Hosmer was there and he delivered. And he looks like he's doing it this year. I mean, he had 2 bases clearing doubles in one game. Granted, that was the majority of his production, and then he had a solo homer to, round out the homer and the 7 RBIs. But I mean, if he's with those kind of splits and he's playing great defense and he's seeing the ball and he's slugging with Fernando Tatis doing his thing and Manny Machado is putting together, great Manny Machado at bats. So, that's something that, we can. It's the reason why the Padres are so hot. Like, the Padres are going crazy. And speaking of the Padres, let's go into the teams. So, I think by the time you hear this, this will have changed. I mean, I think the Cubs just lost, so they're going to be 4-2. But the Rays, Indians, Cubs, and Padres are all 4-1. Granted, like I just said, they just changed, but they're looking like world beaters. The Padres are playing later today. I can't wait to watch that, or should I say tonight. The Indians, they've been incredibly exciting. I thought that the Twins were going to be the most dominant. Indians were going to stumble out of the gate, but their pitching has been absolutely incredible. Francisco Lindor. You get what you get. There is no misstep with Lindor. He's the cream of the crop when it comes to shortstops in the MLB. Tampa Bay Rays were surprising. The only game they lost was pitched by their ace, Charlie Morton. And I think they're still playing right now against the Braves, which, if they do end up losing, they are trailing. But if they do end up losing this game, who would have thought the only 2 games that they have lost on the season would be with Charlie Morton pitching? No one would have ever predicted that to start the year. The Cubs and the Reds are still playing. It is 7-12 right now. Oof, not good. 6 earned runs by Hendricks. Good gracious. But yeah, the Padres are doing great. The Rays are doing fine. Indians are great, and so are the Cubs. Disregard Wednesday. This could all change. This could have all changed, and I think all of them are losing. So, hey, blame me for the curse. So, moving on to who's not. So, the teams, we're going to start off with the teams. We're going to start off both Sox teams, the Red Sox and the White Sox have started off very slow. Granted, the White Sox are about to catch a win against the Indians right now, but, the Red Sox have their pitching looks terrible. Their pitching is not good. And, I didn't expect them to be that great this season with the pitching the way it is. But, they're playing a lot worse than I even expected them to. Seattle, nobody expected them to be good. They're 1-4 as well. The Washington Nationals. See, I kind of expected the Nationals to do this, especially after Juan Soto went down. But I didn't think that the Nationals were to kind of come out as world beaters after everybody they lost. I've recapped that in many episodes prior to this, but they're just I kind of expected this. One team that I didn't expect, and I know a lot of people didn't expect, is the Cincinnati Reds. Their starting pitching has been absolutely incredible, but their bullpen has been far from it. And with Senzel and Moustakas out, they've taken a big hit in their lineup as well. They got rid of Derek Dietrich, who wasn't a world beater in any sense of the term offensively, but he could produce and get some pretty big clutch homers and some RBIs. So they're struggling as well. So those 5 teams I should say have been struggling. And like I said it earlier to start the segment, it's hard to do it for pitchers. So we're just going to go on to the hitters, and leading off is Ronald Acuna Jr. Ronald Acuna Jr. is slashing 143, 217, and 190 with 12 strikeouts to start the season. That is a major slump. It happens to everybody. Everybody slumps, but that is a major, major, major slump. He just looks like he cannot catch up to fastballs. Like, I watched the entire series versus, the Mets and, the start against the Rays, and they were just testing him. They did not care. Fastballs right down the middle at 97. He just could not catch up to him. He couldn't touch him. So, his timing's off. That'll come with more reps. And moving on to the other big name who's been struggling mightily is Christian Yelich. Christian Yelich is slashing .045, .082, .182. And that is horrible. Like, he has one hit in his 22 ABs on the year, but in Christian Yelich fashion, the only one hit that he got was a solo shot in Chicago. So, he still has the power. He still has nothing's changed with Christian Yelich. It's just he's having a very, very, very rough start to the year. And, hopefully he's able to turn it around. Hopefully. I'm going to be keeping an eye on the Brewer game tonight. So, we'll see. We'll see if he can get the GSMC, bump after this. Alrighty, so that ends that. I will be taking my final break, and then I will be going into the what to watch for from the upcoming series on the weekends. Alright, I will be back in a second.
Want to know the latest in soccer? Then listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast. From MLS, the World Cup, and the Premier League, we've got you covered. The latest updates, the hottest matches, and news on the league's top players. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast.
David Beckham scores the goal to take England all
listen now.
All right, everybody, and we are back. So I would like to thank you for staying all the way to the end. I really appreciate it. So currently watching the Dodgers and Astros, and looks like we have another extra innings game, which, as I've said on a previous episode, I love it. I love the rule. It's going to be sick. Somehow Kenley Jansen was able to hold off Kyle Tucker with the runners on first and second to get it into extras. So we got the inning started coming soon. So I may keep you updated on that, even though you're already going to know what happens by the time this comes out. I don't care. I'm still going to do it. So lastly, as we know, to wrap up the show, I'm going to break down the series to keep an eye on for the weekend. So first off, I got the Brewers versus the Cardinals. Now, as we know, the number one team in, the NL Central is the Chicago Cubs. So someone has got to take a real stranglehold of second place in that division. So it's down to the Brewers or the Cardinals. Someone has to solidify themselves as a real contender coming out of there. And, I think that this is the series to do it. You kind of have to jump out to an early lead, as we've said. And especially since we know that the season's not going to get canceled, we're going to have to finish the season out. So, you got to get in where you fit in. Every game is of the utmost importance. So, it's going to be a really great series coming up this weekend. Let's see if Yelich can really turn it around. Let's see if the Cardinals, they're actually struggling right now against the Twinkies. But we'll see what they can do. Moving on, we have the Mets versus the Braves. Now, the Braves have had their struggles. Their offense isn't that great. Besides the just absolute offensive explosions that they have, they haven't been able to pull out games where they've, struggled to score runs. Like, all the games that below, five runs, they've lost. So, it's definitely something that they need to keep their eye on. The Mets are looking at a bounce back, even though they're currently losing to Boston right now. If they were to drop that series, I think that they would be out of the playoff contention in my eyes, and probably the eyes of the league. So that's definitely something that we need to keep an eye on, especially for Mets fans out there. So it looks like there's a lot more pressure on the Braves than on the Mets, but we'll see. We'll see if they can bounce back from the 14-1 loss on last Sunday. Moving on. So this was actually a surprise. I did not know that the Rockies were 4-1. The Rockies are tied for the NL West lead. With the Padres. And they have a series kicking off this weekend. They just won another game today, by the way. Oh my goodness, the Rockies, world beaters. I should have put them in Who's Hot. Dang, I really messed that one up. But moving forward, that's going to be a huge series. It's a huge test. The Dodgers, they've been kind of, they have an early test. We'll see if they're able to pull out this extra innings win, really help them in the division standings. The D-backs, they just lost to the Rangers, so they should be, they're probably going to be falling there just a little bit. So, it's someone's got to, take a stranglehold of this division. And, I don't think that the Rockies are legitimate contenders. I'm not going to go out and say that, but, the Padres, especially, they can't lose games like this. They need to win these games, especially with the Dodgers only playing 17 games against, winning teams from last season. So, with every game of the utmost importance that I can't stress enough, it's going to be a huge series to see, the Rockies are going to come out and be like, hey, we are contenders. Like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. We're going to make the playoffs. We're going to win this division. And the Padres are looking to do the same to really knock the Dodgers off their what seems like decade-long throne. I know it hasn't actually been a decade, but it's been a really long time since the last time another team has won the NL West. So definitely something that you are going to want to keep an eye out on. So moving forward, this is more interesting than I expect. The Angels and the Astros. Now the Astros, they're playing fine. I mean, everyone, like the Dodgers were going after them. They got, they've been, it's pretty much a heavyweight fight going on here. But the Angels, I think this is more for the Angels than anything because they really need to show that they're contenders. They can't, I don't know how long they can just keep toying with their fan base. I mean, without having, a real legitimate playoff push since 2015 and, not actually getting anything done in that 2015 series. The clock's ticking. The clock is really ticking on Mike Trout. He can opt out at any moment and, not come back. And, no one's really going to fault him for any of it. So they really have to, pick up the pace and start, really pushing forward. And, the Astros are 3-2 right now. They just got out of the top of the 10th without anybody moving, without the guy on second even moving. Oh, good gracious. So the Astros are starting off the bottom of the 10th with Altuve, Bregman, and Michael Brantley. My goodness. Good luck. Good luck to whoever's pitching. Ooh, Manny Machado homered to center. Go Padres. God, I love the Padres. They're so good this year, and their jerseys are nice. It's so nice to see that. So, yeah, back to the Angels and Astros. So the Astros, they need to do everything they can to keep up with the Oakland A's. The Oakland A's, they just lost today to the Colorado Rockies, but this is the slugfest. They have no games to blow. So it's going to be big for the Astros. Like, you don't think that a series against the Angels is going to be really that big of a deal, but it is. And they have to, really take it seriously. So that's definitely something that you're going to want to watch. Maybe, if you have the 4-screen monitor, on MLB TV, you might tuck that off in the bottom right-hand corner where you're not really going to look at it more than just a little peek every now and then. Moving on, Indians versus the Twins. Now, the Indians have the lead last time I checked for the AL Central since they just lost to the White Sox today and the Twins are up 3-0 on the Cardinals. It looks like the Twins are going to take that back over. So this is a battle for first place. We have a battle for first place in the AL Central already in the season, and you have the big, like, we have it all the time. It's the big offense versus the big pitching. Let's see who can prevail. I'm more of a pitching guy. I know that great defense beats great offense more often than not, especially in playoff time. Being a Braves fan and, having to face off against the Giants every time that they won a World Series in the past decade. So it's, it was really annoying going in with the, one of the number one offenses and then facing, their pitching rotation and just being fooled every time, every time we played them. It was just so annoying. So I'm a key component of pitching is way better. So let's see what happens. Are the Indians going to take control of the division? Are the Twins going to do it? And can Nelson Cruz keep everything up? That's definitely something that you're going to want to keep an eye on. It's going to be a real slugfest of a series. Bottom of the 10th starting, and it looks like Scott Alexander is on the mound. Okay, Dodgers. Okay, that's not really who I would go with, especially facing against a righty-heavy rotation, lineup. But hey, let's see if it pays off for him. I doubt it will. Now, lastly, closing this one up, we have the Dodgers versus the Diamondbacks. Dodgers versus the Diamondbacks. With the Rockies and the Padres slugging it out for first place in the West. You got the Dodgers and the D-backs slugging it out for third. Granted, I know the Dodgers, they're going to come back and they're going to make a huge push, and, it's too early in the season to count them out. And trust me, that's the exact opposite of what I'm going to be doing, especially with their lineup and their pitching rotation. And everybody knows, it's the same old Dodgers. Same old Dodgers. They'll bring up some rookie halfway through the year. They'll spark like a they'll win 20, 25 or something and then just run away with the division in about 3 weeks. But, it's a good storyline. It's a good storyline to wrap your head around. The Dodgers took on the Diamondbacks. They won 2 of the 3 to start out the season. And, maybe the Diamondbacks are going to be, they're going to be looking for blood. They're going to be looking for revenge. The Dodgers, they could be coming off the emotional high of the Astros and, just kind of overlook the Diamondbacks and kind of, just overlook them and pretty much have it be a trap series to where, because, if the Dodgers lose this series against the D-backs, they could be looking at being 4th in the NL West. And, it's just going to be a story that they tell later, like kind of how the Nationals were, where they were, 15 games below 500 and they came back and made the playoffs and won the World Series. So that's something like that. When the playoffs come around, they'll be like, in the first week of the season, the Dodgers, they were started off in 4th place in the NL West behind all, the same old story that always happens. So that's definitely something you're going to want to keep an eye on. And with that being said, that is our show. I will be back on Tuesday next week in my new place in my sister's place while I'm looking for an apartment in Dallas. If you have recommendations, feel free to message me. Everyone, enjoy your week, enjoy your families, and be sure to enjoy the games of the weekend. And you can follow me on Instagram at EvanWorley23. You can play me in Tap Baseball. If you're bored, the nickname is also EvanWorley23. And I would like to thank you for listening to the GSMC Baseball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I would like to ask for you to please remember to subscribe to the show and write a nice review. That really helps us out. And also, if you could follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thank you all, and have a great weekend.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.